Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host
Chip, what's up?
Chip. What is going on, man? Today there was a great video came out a couple days ago with Warren Davidson referencing Token Taxonomy Act, referencing Ripple, talking about regulatory clarity. We need to get into that, discuss that a little bit because regulatory clarity is needed. Then there's some concern out there as to what is a security, what isn't a security. And that just seems to keep circulating until that clarity is reached. You ready to kick this thing off?
Let's kick this puppy off. What do you say we go? Let's do it.
Go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm feeling what there's a lot of in the air right now. Like it's like all of a sudden everything's bubbling up with clarity, right? So you have Cynthia Loomis, you got Warren Davidson. It seems to be like on everybody's sort of short list. And
Gotta love it.
I think it's a good thing because it could be what they call foreshadowing of what is potentially come in the future. And our hero, the protagonist, Ripple here, will have an incredible victory. It looks like it's going to be over into the snake pit, and then somehow escape. So that's kind of where we're at in the whole market upheaval. People going crazy, like it's almost crazy town out there. I'm seeing so many silly tweets out there, and folks, like us, Jeff, and everybody here, the OTC family, we kind of have to help people kind of talk them off the ledge a little bit, like. Step back from the ledge. Everything's going to be okay. Zoom out. It's all okay. And it's like, okay, so are you at all amazed at how fast they shut down all those Bitcoin miners in China, and then boom, they're in Kazakhstan, or they already reset up in Texas.
That's fast. I mean, you have to think about what's going on a global scale, and these guys have already been prepared for it. They've thought about it. I'm sure that they already had like a transition in mind because it's not like this was brand new. Like it was, China's going to shut them down. There are already hints at it. We saw also in Iran what was happening over there. So and the great thing about this is that you have regimes that are very centralized and into control, right? And so, Chip, talking about China for eons has always been about control. But as they moved into a capitalistic system, there was this conflict between communist political control, centralized control, dominating control, and the freedoms that come with capitalism. Once you give people a bit of a taste of capitalism, how do you rein it back in? And so there's always been, you let it go and then you have to pull it back in, let it go. But every time they let it go, it goes further and further out to the point where you have decentralized economics in the crypto space. They're like, oh my God, we're letting this thing get away from us. Shut it down. So the people over there, they knew what was coming. They knew.
Yeah, they absolutely knew. But I think we're in a good space. I think we're starting to move through it. And despite what the market's doing, everybody's sort of like this free fall thing. Like, let me put this story out. This is kind of typical. This one right here kind of says it all. But this is where the crypto media is at. This year was in Business Cloud. It's like X. Look at that. Just look at this. XRP and Doge prices plunge in crypto bloodbath. Movers and shakers. Oh no. Doge shed a quarter of its value down in 24 hours. It's like, it's the doom and gloom and all this kind of stuff. And that's just one story that is sort of indicative of what's going on. But so what? It's like, if you've been in crypto for more than a nanosecond, you kind of know that this is how it moves and shakes. And, you have the same similar headlines in the other, with stocks and stuff. But why don't we uncover? I really like what Warren Davidson, obviously we had him on here, I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks ago. And I retweeted that one video that what he had said when he was on here. But let's kind of like dive into that a little bit, because I think I just have this good feeling like there's something starting to rise about this legislation. It's everywhere, Jeff.
Yeah. No, I agree. You're starting to see there's two sides to it, right? You have the 10 side, which is the FUD. And then you have the other side, which understands that we're going to stay very sane, and we're going to keep approaching it from that perspective, and we're going to keep moving forward regardless of all the noise that's out there, all the noise being created, even if they create roadblocks. So you brought up, China, Iran sees 7,000 miners. That's insane, right? So 7,000 miners in Iran off the streets, but they also have issues with power, not the green idea of power, but they have actual issues with keeping their lights on over there. And so, there's problems, so you look at all that, and then the media, Chip, they pile onto it, just like that article you showed. They pile on and they make everyone feel the doom and gloom. They want to feel the bloodbath, and they want everyone to feel real bad together, but you can't, because everybody knows the direction this space is going in. They understand what it's going to take to get it to the next level, including Congressman Warren Davidson. That's not him, but he'll be on here. But so Congressman Warren Davidson gets it. When we had him on here, Chip, guy, super motivational, because he's, looking at the future. Alex Mashinsky looks at the future, right? And that's what it's all about. So let's play through this. Let's see what he has to say.
Look, I'm glad the president's meeting with his regulators, because, this space has needed attention for some time. Frankly, we're talking crypto especially, but the whole state of financial regulation is having a hard time keeping up with the fintech, innovation that is, moving much faster than regulators can. So I think one of the big things that he has to talk about is how do we do, federal policy that makes it clear what is the security and what is not. That's again.
And that's key right there. What he's leading up to there, Chip. It's interesting too, because he's saying that the president has an opportunity to really look at the way things are going, to really help direct the conversation, and he's saying we've needed regulation for a long time. And look how many times he's brought in the Token Taxonomy Act. And what was the response out of Congress?
Was it crickets right there? That was pretty much what the response was.
Yeah.
So, and they keep going to let's make a committee that we can sit around. Let's make an official committee that we can sit around and talk about it for. No. The time for committees might have been 7 or 8 years ago. The time is for action, and this is what I like about Rep. Warren Davidson. He's all about action. He's all about let's get some of this stuff done. He and even when we had him on here, we kind of asked him like, hey, what's Maxine Waters like? And he said, look, what I liked about him was he pointed out her strong features about what she's, how she is. And he's not about putting obstacles in the way. He's all about like, look, she's known for this. This is what we do. She's very nice in person. And he's met with her. And I think that, I like that kind of response. Like, don't get caught up in the minutia of like, well, she, right. Yeah, that doesn't get you anywhere. What gets you somewhere is like, look, she's open to talking about it. We've had open conversations. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving that ball forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, it's really interesting. You get into regulation, and Darcy was first, and then, Warren Davidson, over here, I mean, he's really digging into the issues. He hasn't mentioned Darcy being first, but at least, he's talking about regulatory clarity, and he's getting ready to talk about Ripple, not Darcy, but Ripple. So let's see what else he has to say here. Hang on a second. Uh-oh.
What happened?
What's going on?
Did we lose it?
It is frozen.
Yeah, you might have to reload it,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Oh, you know what? I got to click it over here. Nope. Yeah, it's just loading on itself. It didn't like that.
Oh, you didn't download it?
I did download it. This is the downloaded one.
Is it?
And it didn't like it. Yeah.
That's
it froze up.
All right. Well, why don't you pull that back up? Why don't you? Otherwise, I can pull it up too. So, in the meantime, if we need to go there. But yeah, I mean, what I like about what Davidson's all about is he's attempting to move it forward. Yeah, you have Soto too. He's our Congressman Soto, who's up in Orlando. Again, opposite party, doesn't matter. Nobody cares. They actually have some agreement. But now that we're starting to see, we played the Hester Pierce video yesterday where she was, talking. I don't know what she was talking about. I don't think it was in her official capacity. Not that we have to worry about that. But she was, again, it's starting to come up, it's starting to bubble up. You have the president meeting with the regulators, talking about this stuff. Everybody kind of realizes at this point it's a problem, right? And when we asked them about what was going on with the SEC and kind of getting into that a little bit, hey, he does the right thing, but he kind of talks about I love how he brought up the Howey test as well, 4 prongs of the Howey test, and he kind of talked about, did it fit in that sort of box or not? So that's one of the things. I want to put this up here.
Yep. Yeah, bring that up there.
Gian, what's up? Thank you very much for that support. He says, hey, can XRP get to 0, which would present a once in a million lifetime buying opportunity? If it gets to like 0.01, it's monster gains. I mean, look, anything is possible, right? You wouldn't say like, well, that could never happen. Well, it's already happened. I mean, it was years ago, but we know that it was 0.005. We know people that bought 0.005. I do. And 0.005. But I get where you're going with this, Gian, because yeah, I mean, we all kind of like secretly hope, can we just get that little dip, just a little dip? Just forgive me, like I just need an hour. Don't do it in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping. I just want it when I'm actually going to be able to buy, right? And so, my phone was blowing up. Friends and family, my brother calling saying, hey man, do I buy at this price? Do I buy at that price? I said, look, bottom line is you got to buy what you feel comfortable with. But don't play the game of like, I bought it this and then it went down another 10 cents or it went up. Don't play that game. Another friend of mine's like, well, man, it's just the market's in turmoil. Yeah, it is. I go, some people see turmoil. Some see, I like to buy things on sale. I don't like to buy things at retail, although I have, but you like the sale. It's like Prime Day, it's already 20% off, get another 20% off. And then you add this and then it becomes a big thing. So, I mean, Gian, to say, could it go to 0? Well, I mean, when you say 0, you go like, is it worth nothing? No, I get what your point is. 0.01. It's possible. I don't know if I see it now, but again, you never really know. I mean, the market cycles and the way Bitcoin goes, so does the rest of the market. So we know a lot of what the reasons are that Bitcoin shut down and has it sort of rise up, but then it's coming back down. And a lot of people, the naysayers about Bitcoin and the tribalists out there, naysaying it. It's all, to me, it's the market. The market has cycles. We're in a wicked one right now, but feeling it's probably going to shoot up. Who knows? We'll see. Jeff, you got that puppy queued up?
A lot of good points. No, it's not. I think I got your computer issues here.
Oh man,
my volume stuck on the screen, and
well, don't worry about that. Listen, in the meantime, let's jump to this other story. What I'll do is I'll download that. We'll jump into it. But real quick, Jeff, let's look at this right here because this right here, Jim Cramer. If you guys don't know him,
here we go.
He's up here. I want to get your thoughts on this. Jim Cramer's a personality. He talks about, what's his name of his show where he basically picks and pans stocks. That's
Crazy
pretty much
stocks.
what it is. Yeah, and he's a little nutty too. He's like he gets a little wound up on air.
Screams
screams and yells, you got to do this, or he does all this stuff, right? And he brought a little notoriety because he's like, he went and bought Bitcoin. But what happened, Jeff?
Man, so we know that he, used some of his Bitcoin to pay off his mortgage. He's done other things. Hey, all the power to him. He's doing what he wanted to do with it. There's no issue there, but it's really this latest statement that he's made. And he's talking about how he's almost sold out of all of his Bitcoin because of his concern over what China's doing. And we just referenced, China shutting down the miners, but the response of the miners to China is good riddance. We're going to go somewhere else. We're welcomed somewhere else. And so, I mean, he's got to understand, the development of this asset class. I think we did a really good job yesterday digging through, the whole, monetary structure of the world. What is he missing? Chip, I mean, we know that all these miners are going to leave China. They're going to come to Texas. They're going to come to Florida. They're going to go to El Salvador. They're going to go where they're welcome, that want them to generate big revenue. And it's not going to be China.
Yeah, but what I liked about that, though, is like, when you and I were talking about it earlier, you're like, hey, you're welcome to come to the United States. You're welcome to come over here on this side of the planet, whether it's North America, Central or South America, come on over, come on closer to over here to us. And we're seeing a lot more things happening with green stuff. So yeah, I thought that was pretty welcome, but he's kind of flipped his lid a little bit here.
Yeah. Yep. And it's interesting commentary because Chicago Brew is saying Jim Cramer had the inside info that the big money was selling out of most of all their position last week due to inflation that they're trying to keep secret. Smart move to USDC, the BTC, So it is interesting. These bigger players are seeing things from a different level. They know people, they understand the movement. They came after Michael Saylor for kind of pushing a lot of the institutions into Bitcoin. The one thing that I see with this, and these guys are moving money around, and it's, they make 100,000, they make 500, they make $1 million. They're moving the big numbers. Overall, they're always they're gonna lose some, they're gonna win some. That's a hard road to follow when you're trading. You try to buy, sell high. You're trying to buy low. It's so hard to gauge the market. At what point do you sell when it's high? You'll miss the top. At what point do you buy when it's low because you're going to miss the bottom? Are you in it for the trade, or are you in it for the long-term efficacy of the entire market? Are those that bought into Amazon in the early stages when it was low and were able to dollar cost average and add to their positions over a long period of time, are they wealthier than those that are trading the market that are novice? I'm saying someone that isn't spending all day trying to guess the ups and downs. Who's further ahead? And I guess, and then it comes down to your comfort level.
It does, but I kind of agree with the chat earlier. Is like you say, like, well, yeah, I probably knew, like, hey, a lot of people are moving their positions out, see a little bit of a thing. But what I'm looking at, I take a little bit of issue with is the fact that he's talking about, he has concerns over the mining crackdown in China. Okay, fair enough, but what are your real concerns? Is that a bad thing or a good thing ultimately for Bitcoin? I think it's a win. You go move to Kazakhstan, you move to Texas, you move to El Salvador. I don't know, every day, all day in my book, that's a win, man. I'll take the W all day long. And then he says that I'm saying this is not going up because of structural reasons. Well, what structural reasons? I don't know what that means exactly, but anyway, I like Cramer. He's kind of a nutty guy, kind of like him.
He is,
but
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So, so I really think, from that perspective, you bring up a solid point. Again, when it comes to Bitcoin, hey, he's out. He sees it. Maybe he's thinking about something else. But the commentary of the article is Bitcoin or China's out, therefore I'm out. Who cares about China at that point? Let those guys move. I mean, it's a big marketplace, but they weren't fully into it anyways. China.
No. Well, they were into it for themselves, but I think what happened, it kind of grew a little bit too big, a little bit bigger than they wanted to, and then you're creating this sort of sub economy over here, and this underground economy. You got the official digital yuan, and then you've got all the underground sort of. If you make it more difficult to get, that's the real reasons. But anyway, I got this video queued up.
Glad the president's meeting with his regulators because this space has needed attention for some time.
Perfectly queued up.
Frankly, we're talking crypto especially, but
can you see me?
State of financial.
Yeah, I see you, but you are just I hear you, but you're just frozen up.
Yeah, I'm frozen. This sucks.
Gosh, man, I finally get my computer back, and then
all right, I'll be back in 1 second. Let me come back. Let me come back.
Yeah, I'll let you come on back, and then let's just wait till you get back in. But I will wait till he comes back in. Yeah, we'll wait till he comes back here. So, it's like, what do I talk about? Yeah, so I want to also play the clip too when Warren Davidson was on the chain with us too. A little clip that I tweeted out earlier. And it's always hard to find the exact right position. You're like, oh, that was really cool what he said, and that was really cool what he said. But the issue is that because on the chain is just like a regular account, it's not that we don't have the blue check mark, and we don't have the we're not like a media, one of the big media accounts. You ever go like one of, whether it's television broadcasting or whatever, you go to their Twitter account. You watch like an 8-minute video. You're like, whoa, that was pretty cool. But I think you only can watch 2 minutes and 20 seconds on a normal one. I think it might even be less than that. Sometimes I try to post that and it won't post. So then you got to like clip the end. So when you're doing that, at some point, I hope Jeff and I can get that kind of status, because we'd like to repost some videos, but 2 minutes is like such a small amount of time. You just never can get that sort of sliding scale when that comment comes. And when we had like Warren Davidson on here, and we had asked him a couple questions about what's going on or what's going on with Ripple, with the lawsuit, he shared pretty openly. And if you guys didn't see it, Jeff and I dressed up for it because it's congressman, right? Wore a jacket, put a nice shirt on, and Davidson wore a polo shirt. He's like, "Oh, these guys wear t-shirts, man. I'm gonna overdress." So he wore like a polo shirt, but we were cool. We kept it on. We said, let's go for it, because it always makes sense. And how long is Jeff going to be gone for? Good Lord. So let's go into the comments here. I want to see what everybody's saying here. So, yeah, right here, there you go. Less mining equals more value for Bitcoin. No, exactly. What else we have here? Holy cow. This one right here, I have to go with Ray Run. Yeah. Politicians. Problem with politicians is that they stopped representing the people. They started becoming a little bit too know-it-all, a little bit too do-gooders. Yeah. They don't represent their constituency. They go off to wherever the capital is. They're supposed to represent you. But the problem is they rarely ever do. That's really what it ultimately comes down to. I want to talk about this before Jeff gets back, but we talk about custody. Custody is the big stopper here when we're looking at newbies coming in. Try to explain to them. It's like, yeah, put in a cold storage wallet. They're like, wait a minute, how do I move it from this exchange to that exchange? And if they happen to be moving XRP to an exchange, you've got to have the two. You need both parts of it. Otherwise, you're not going to have a success. If you have cold storage, you don't need to that because of your wallet. But if you even a digital wallet like Zum, you got to be very careful when you're moving it. Well, check this out, because this story right here, this thing popped up, and this kind of like, say, scares you a little bit. But you look at something like Fireblocks. Fireblocks, one of the more elite sort of custody companies out there, they're being sued right now, allegedly for losing over $70 million of Ether. It turned out there was an employee. He apparently, now how many times do we have to hear this story over and over and over again, where an employee, and why is it like one person? Is there more people looking out after this? It's like, hey, Bob, did you do that? Yeah, I'll get to it. Well, it's 70 million ETH. Yeah, I got that, right? Always kind of a weird thing. It's like, so apparently didn't protect or back up the private keys. I find this a little bit hard to believe with a company like Fireblocks. To a digital wallet were then deleted. So there's something that doesn't smell right here. They're being sued. Go ahead and put on your Oh,
look at that. It deleted everything.
You need to put your right mic. There you go.
There we go. Disconnected.
So, crypting staking platform Stakehound filed a lawsuit against Fireblocks at the Tel Aviv District Court on the grounds of alleged negligence. Fireblocks employee didn't protect it or back it up. This is kind of hard to believe. I just, wow. And then it prevented Stakehound from being able to access the assets to the tune of 70 million. Now is that 70 million now? Or are we talking about 70 million when ETH hit its all-time high of like when it was up to like almost $4,000, right? So
brutal. And
they say, well, it's a human error committed by an employee. They always do that. They always blame it on an employee. And I kind of wonder, is that what really happened, Jeff? Was it apparently worked in an unsuitable work environment? Well, what kind of a work environment are you creating, and whose responsibility is that?
What does that mean exactly?
Well, he was working from one of those colos, right? Those shared spaces like WeWork. Like you show up there, he left his laptop there with the cold storage wallet one day, because they're sort of like public places you rent, big tables. You can rent like a conference room if you want. I just don't understand how something this was. They never mentioned the employee's name. It's always like, oh, there was an employee. The employee was bad. Directly lost the access to the plaintiff's digital wallet. It was only $70 million, Jeff.
It's brutal. I mean, you think about it, maybe he had it on a thumb drive and he had it around his neck and they said, protect this with your life. And there was no copy. And then he went to, download something else. And he's like, oh, there's a thumb drive. I'll use that thumb drive. It's hanging around my neck. Why is that there?
Yeah, and then there's
I,
this
I
right
don't know.
here.
Who knows?
Look at this. Look at this quote. It says all Fireblocks customer funds are saved and customer keys are backed up and recoverable. In this case, the keys were generated by the clients and stored outside the Fireblocks platform. So it
There
sounds
you
like
go.
they shifted the blame from it. Well, how did they start off with an employee that sort of didn't do something, and now they're saying that right here, the statement said that it turns out that the keys were generated by the clients. I don't know. Something isn't right here.
Well, who was holding the 7 billion or whatever it was?
72.
What was
Yeah, it's
that?
about
700
72
million?
million at the time of writing.
72?
Yeah.
No, 72 million. It's on it.
Yeah. It goes
7
from
billion would be a lot.
when the story's all over the place from a employee in an unsuitable work arena that sort of deleted them and didn't back them up, but then it was deleted, then this says they didn't have the keys. So it's kind of weird when all this kind of stuff happens. I really don't know what to think of it, Jeff.
It's confusing, and you can see, I mean, if he's not in a suitable work environment, trying to
What is
work
that?
in that, right. What is that? If he is in like one of those WeWorks, yeah, maybe you guys got to invest in a little bit of an office space and make sure that you do have a suitable environment to make sure you're managing the $72 million that that you lost for a client.
Well, it's kind of like if your
But-
main gig is to custody for institutional, that you better have something better, a little more figured out than, well, an employee, it happens, $70 million, Anyway, let's jump back to this Warren Davidson. Let's see if we can play this. Trying to get through this clip today, guys. Let's go. Let's see if this works now.
It's having a
There you
hard
go.
time
I'm gonna
keeping
back it up
time.
a little bit.
Frankly, we're talking crypto especially, but the whole state of financial regulation is having a hard time keeping up with the fintech, innovation that is, moving much faster than regulators.
Now, that's an important statement. They're having a hard time keeping up. I'd say, what do you think, Jeff?
I don't even know if they're trying to keep up.
Right, keeping up. See, that's what Davidson's always very complimentary. They can't keep up. They haven't even left the, it's like if you one of those races, they haven't left the blocks yet. They're just hanging out.
Problem is, I think their shoes are stuck.
They're tied together, Jeff.
Tied together. Maybe they didn't hear the the starting gun. They're still waiting. They're still in that race position. Hasn't started yet.
Let's carry on here.
And so I think one of the big things that he has to talk about is how do we do federal policy that makes it clear what is a security and what is not. That's Gensler with the SEC. You have XRP, for example, is a cryptocurrency that could be very useful for the payment system. But Ripple, how separate and distinct is that as an entity? And if they exercise a lot of control over it, it might look a lot like a security. But if there truly is a firewall there, it might look like it's not a security. And we've tried for a long time to get a bright line test there to make it so it's less subjective for regulators. And, one of the encouraging things is Gensler really understands that. He taught blockchain courses at MIT prior to taking this current role. So it's good that he has some expertise there, and hopefully he'll listen and have good dialogue.
I like that. I like the test. They're trying to get, what do you call it? A bright line test.
Bright line test. Yeah, I've been trying to get a bright line test, right?
Yeah, and that how important is that? Because you want to know, is it yes? Is it not? Is there a firewall? How do you make a determination of the separation between the mechanisms of the company tied in with the digital asset? How do you apply the Howey test? How do you amend or add an addendum to the Howey test to accommodate such a thing? And there has to be some reasonable sense of clarity, and right now, like you said right in the beginning, there isn't. Where are these guys? What are they doing? Is it up to the SEC? But now, his conversation always beckons me back to what Clayton did when he dropped this massive hand grenade on the following up administration, and he's basically saying, "Here you go, good luck.
Figure it out.
You figure it out because you need to figure it out. You're not going to do it in Congress, not going to do it at the SEC. And what do we even know from that?" So Gensler's in there. He's been in now for a number of months. Crypto regulation doesn't even show up on the SEC agenda for 2021. Doesn't show up.
No, and you know, and again, what are they looking to really protect here? It looks like they're more worried about let's go get the underdogs, you know, the Wall Street bets kids that are like, you know, sort of outsmarting Wall Street. Let's go hassle them, you know. And it's like, meanwhile, we've known these shorts have just been a nightmare scenario, and they allow it to happen. They allow it to really, it's really a form of manipulation. So you have a Reddit group that outsmarts Wall Street, but let's go get them, right? And they were operating inside the system. Somebody noticed the massive shorts placed, and they said, "Hey, let's make a call on this. Let's group together, bunch of friends hanging out." But this is where I get a little bit concerned of what government's role is and what the SEC's role is. The role is to look out after you. Hey, you're an investor. You know, you get hurt, and then what happens? Well, is there any recourse? No, no, no. But they're sort of shifting everything. And again, it comes back to the whole politician thing. It's like, yeah, Gensler was an amazing guy. He's like, you know, look, he ran the FTSC really well. He's already been, you know, in one of the sort of, I guess, the regulator sort of body. There's a bunch of different regulators in government. And then he comes over to the SEC. He's like, I taught a blockchain course. And as soon as he gets in there, like you said, Jeff, it's like, forget everything you know, become a politician and become a statesman and say the right things and get out there and we'll get to that next week. It's a very important thing, you know. And then they start doing all that kind of stuff, that posturing. You're like, well, what the hell, man? But you were the guy. You were like Mr. Blockchain. You were the blockchain dude. You were supposed to come in and be Mr. Blockchain. You knew about this stuff. You taught it.
Like that. Let's call him Mr. Blockchain.
Mr. Blockchain. Mr. Blockhead, more like it. I don't know. It's
Gensler
just
is from this point forward referred to as Mr. Blockchain.
Mr. Blockchain. Yeah, official Mr. Blockchain. Come on in there and help us out. And right, you put the agenda together. Well, you know, we saw the June agenda for, you know, for the what is it? The services committee. What's it called? The regular one where the token taxonomy is sitting, right?
Financial services.
Financial services. Yeah, they released a thing. Nothing in there about crypto. Nothing at all. They don't even mention. But they want to go off and start. It's like everybody wants to put their name on it. So they go like, let's have a committee. What will the committee do, Jeff? It'll talk about what we could possibly do to pass legislation. Oh, well done. Well done.
You know, you think about it, and I've given this you know, you get into Congress and you have all these different entities, these organizations. And since they're not private, you know, it all goes back to what government will tell you what you can and cannot do. So FinCEN has its kind of guidelines. The CFTC has its guidelines. The SEC has its guidelines. At what point do they have freedom of action where they can communicate between the agencies without an act of Congress? So I find it interesting that up until that point, so you see legislation gets through and passes Congress, goes to the Senate, gets stuck there, but their objective was to put together work groups to facilitate discussion and communication between the SEC and the CFTC to talk about cryptocurrency. But it took an act of Congress to get them to talk to each other. Now, I don't even know if that's the norm. Is that the norm where in order to get two organizations within government to communicate with each other, that's what it takes? It's like an act of Congress is like an act of God. You know, it's like it has to come from way up here, and you got to get all this agreement. And everyone has to agree. Yes, those two are going to form a committee and they're going to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we're at. At least to me, that's not ideal. We don't want that, but it's a first step to get these two to talk. The question is, what do they do when they actually have this committee? Do they actually do anything of purpose? Is it useful? Do we get outcome?
There's no accountability, Jeff. I mean, the whole idea of having a committee to talk about stuff, you know, this reminds me of corporate, you know, being in some pretty large corporations. You know, I worked for some big ones out there, and, you know, you have a meeting to talk about planning another meeting. And then you get to a meeting and you have an agenda, but you don't use the agenda. It's like, guys, let's get through these 5 bullet points. Let's start with 1. What do we got? And then someone goes down a rabbit hole somewhere. You leave the meeting going like, what just happened? Nobody knows who's supposed to do what. There's no accountability. And this is what happens when you have a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas. And this is how crazy this is, Jeff, right now. breaking, right? I
Breaking.
see. So I see this. I'm
That's
like, what
broken.
the heck is breaking, right? I'm like, what could possibly be going on? It says the U.S. Pentagon pre-report extraterrestrial objects in flight of unknown origin have deactivated terrestrial nuclear weapons. And then Sir Gordon says, it's probably nothing. Probably just a crypto week. I mean, everything's burning down. It's like, who's going to really worry about this? And I started looking at some of the comments in here. Let me see if I can show you this. Pay no attention to the man. Like that's Brad calling us thing. There were some more comments on here. Let's see, where are they? I don't know. Maybe it was on this one itself. Let me look here. But this is the kind of crazy, and some of this guy says, "Oh no, that was the plot of Superman 4, the quest for peace." He's like, "How's that breaking? That news is nearly 60 years old." So it's like I thank God for like times like this where they've been extraterrestrials have been coming down. They've eliminated all the nukes, and everyone's like, it's not a big deal, man. The crypto market's burning down. We've raised the $1.3 trillion. Anyway, it's in this book called Disclosure, and I knew that 10 years ago. Not the first time, but this kind of crazy week it is. It's like, it's like, here, hold my beer. It's like 1.3 trillion erased from the market. We talked about how Doge got itself handed to it, and it's just a little bit. Sometimes it gets to be a little bit much. And then you look at this. You remember all the hoopla around Coinbase? Remember that? Look at this. Coinbase is trading at around $220, near an all-time low.
All-time low.
What was that all-time high when it opened?
Went
almost
up to like
430. Look at that.
It was crazy. It was crazy stuff.
Is this a victim of what's happening right now in crypto, or do you think this is indicative of something else going on?
It's just indicative of the market as a whole. If you followed kind of the trend of the tech stocks, you've seen, there was a lot of bleeding going on in the tech space over the past couple months. That's starting to come back. There was a lot of redirection of money into something that they have an expectation of big growth. So I would say it's part tech oriented, but there was a lot of hype around Coinbase in the beginning also.
Yeah, there was.
And that's all it was. And so it pushed it to a valuation that was way too high. I always kind of expected the settle point to be like around 2.25. Right now 220, but I would like to see it, maybe even fall back, which is where it could be. But look at the Grayscale GBTC, that pulled back. And now they have the Ethereum, they have the GETC, I think it is, or whatever they're referring to it as. Let me see where GBTC is. That's at $28. So that's pulled back a little bit. They're all pulling back. It's all reactionary.
Oh, it is.
So much of it's reactionary.
Yeah, and it says, ARK Invest still remains very bullish on the stock, of course. But, I actually thought I thought they were talking about a 175, 170. And you're right. They pushed the valuation so far. And then some people got in all the frenzy. And then it kind of came back to where it's probably supposed to be. But if it had opened to 150 and settled around 200, 210, 220, man, a nice little, maybe it would have settled a little bit higher. But yeah, I mean, somebody bought it at 430. Now, if they didn't sell it on the way down, they don't have any stop orders there. They're probably going to be going, well, what time is it? It's not time to sell that puppy yet.
Look at this statement from ARK. Look at what Kathy Wood, 7 million. She's bought 7 million shares because for her, 400, 200, whatever it fell back to. And she didn't buy at the height. She bought when it was in the twos, and she's dollar cost averaged on the way down. She kept buying, her valuation is probably $400, $500, $600 in her mind, where she's analyzed it and her people have analyzed it. They know it's that kind of stock, but they've got the millions to play with. But the $1.5 billion, $1.5 billion invested in Coinbase. They know it's moving back in the other direction. She doubled down on Tesla. She doubled down on a lot of big stocks. So the direction Coinbase eventually, you're like right now, but eventually as the market grows up and goes to the next level, I personally see Coinbase going and eclipsing $500.
Yeah, $500-$600. Yeah, it seems about right. I love this
it's probably
comment
easy,
from
easy.
from Anu. She goes, so they had the chance to disclose extraterrestrials since the late 1940s, but now they choose now, right? After half the populace is already living in fear of the pandemic, the PTSD'd out. How thoughtful, right? Well, that's exactly why you do it. That's why there's always a news dump at like 5 o'clock happy hour time when everyone's pulling back a beer or a whiskey or something like that. 'Cause no one's paying attention to what's goes on during the week. You're in the grind, you're doing stuff. Meanwhile, when Friday hits, they do some kind of a news dump where they say like, oh, there's a giant settlement on the moon. You're like, I don't care. How's my crypto doing? Is everything okay?
They were coming after Starlink, not Starlink, SpaceX. SpaceX is planning a moon rover, right? And they want to put
Is it green?
Probably is. But I think like the government is now there's some controversy over that because they're looking at SpaceX. They're like, well, wait a minute. Civilians are private companies putting down, landers on the moon.
Whoa.
What's next? Think about that. Think about the conflict of interest. Why would they, why keep private industry away from the moon? Why not allow private industry to expand and blow up and go to the moon? What do we really care? If you really want to get there, you want to go to Mars, let them invest every last dime that they have to put a moon base. And then from the moon base, you move forward, but you're going to need private industry to make it happen. Why do you think there's a conflict? There's enough of a conflict there as there is with decentralizing some of the monetary system.
No, it's well said. I mean, I can't disagree with one thing you said there. I mean, it's like it's all spot on. I don't really have anything more to contribute to it other than the fact that if we look future, I like Kathy Wood. Period. You know what? No matter how they try to bury her, try to punch her in the face, she's like, I don't care. I'm doubling down. But then some people recognize the difference between a sale, a fire sale, and an opportunity. And if she studies the market long enough, she kind of knows when she bets on stuff, that's gonna, unsound projects, right? And okay, so they hold for a little bit, but you're right. The potential that, and then anybody invested in one of the ARK funds has done pretty well, spectacularly well, 150% return, 300% return. Of course, it's been a little bit rocky this year, but it'll bounce back. We'll finally get there. Everyone's worried about the inflation. Oh, what are we going to do about the inflation? And oh no, it's all just terrible, isn't it? Look at this next story, Jeff, that I wanted to throw up here. Again, getting back into the whole idea of, there she is, Cynthia Loomis, brand new senator. She said she supports crypto regulations. I want a level playing field. Jeff, where have we heard that before? I want a level playing field. She says, the senator from Wyoming, she says that argues the fundamental of the digital currencies are good. I don't know what the heck that means, but she owns Bitcoin. She told Varney & Company on Tuesday she supports regulations for crypto. Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies remain unregulated. And yeah, and the whole idea of it, like, yeah, there's probably other senators that own it. There's probably other senators. There haven't been as many that have been outspoken like Cynthia Loomis. And then I love her whole financial background, going back to, the state itself. I think she was the treasurer of the state, if I recall, and she made a lot of big moves that put the state, in really good position. And so now she's kind of like elevated that game, coming from Wyoming. What's the population in Wyoming, Jeff? 500,000 people?
Let me look it up. Yeah,
look it up. I don't think
it's small.
It's a big state. It's a pretty decent sized state. It's bigger than probably some European countries. But, I don't know how many people live there. I just don't know. And I'd like to play
578,000 as of 2019. You're pretty close.
I was pretty wicked close there. I have to go ahead and unshare this. I want to be able to play this video. You know how that works, Jeff. I got to be able to share it with. You got to click 15 things to share this.
Well, while you're doing that, let me pull this this screen up real quick. Hang on. Whoops. Oh, here here we go. So you're bringing up SpaceX and all those things going on here, and maybe a little bit of concern, maybe not, but what's up with this? 70,000 people have signed a petition to stop Jeff Bezos from returning to Earth after his trip to space next month.
It's one of the best stories I've seen all week. That's 70,000 people. Jeff, you can't get 70,000 people to agree on something. That's
Uh,
crazy.
And then, what do you do with a petition like that? I mean, now he goes up there and they're like, sorry, you can't come back.
You don't have clearance to land. Well,
You
what
don't
am I
have
supposed to
clearance.
do?
We've all voted. We took a petition.
There's no clearance, Clarence. Right? I mean, let's see if let me try to play this and tell me if this thing. Let me go ahead full screen here. See if this puppy plays. Let me if you hear the audio.
I want to bring in now. So,
You got
A
audio?
little low. Yeah, a little
Yeah,
low.
it's low. Let me try it. How about this?
Cynthia Lummis, Republican from Wyoming. Senator, welcome to the program. First question: Bitcoin. You are a senator who owns Bitcoin. I think you're the only one who owns Bitcoin. The only one that I know of. How do you feel about Bitcoin?
Let's just face it. She's not the only one. She's the only one being public about it. That's what he should have said. You're not the only one. He's so shocked too.
Bitcoin's decline today is at 29.8.
I'm really excited about it because as soon as it drops a little more, I'm going to buy some more. I'll tell you,
listen to
Stuart,
that.
my favorite stock that I own is a company called United Rentals. And I bought it and it dropped like a rock. I held on to it and my gosh, it has performed beautifully over the years for me. And I see Bitcoin.
Okay, Senator Kathy Wood / Loomis.
There you
I love
go.
how she just
see that?
returned that. She returned that volley beautifully.
That was perfect. And she's talking about, and I like that, the juxtaposition there, that comparison. Stock, crypto. I bought a stock. It dropped like a rock. A lot of people would have bailed. Wait, where's the top? Where's the bottom? Nope. Held on. She probably dollar cost averaged on the way down, maybe on the way up. Who knows? She said it performed amazingly. There you go. Perfect comparison. I like that.
Beautiful.
Bitcoin doing the same kind of thing because the fundamentals are good.
Do you want any kind of regulation for Bitcoin?
I do. I want to have a level playing field. So digital assets, cryptocurrencies, understand what the rules of the road are. They're very simple rules, easy to understand, and they're not overly restrictive because we want to see increased innovation in this space.
That's smart.
And maybe
She hit it out of the park
maybe
right there.
some form of regulation would actually.
Well, she put it down on what it says. Yeah, okay, let's have a little bit of regulation. Let's have some guide rules, but let's not stifle it. Let's not crush business,
That's right. Look, we're listening to Clayton. We listened to Clayton yesterday. What did he say? He said the exact same thing. You need to have some clarity. You need some regulation, but you can't stifle it. You can't suffocate the innovation in this space. She's saying the same thing. She just wants rules of the road. It's as though she's been watching On the Chain this whole time. What do we talk about? Clarity, rules of the road.
Why do they always show on all these programs? They always have Bitcoin, Ethereum, for some reason, Litecoin. I mean, there's so many other things they could be showing there, but it's just it always kills me, man.
Help Bitcoin and the other cryptos? Actually, I think it might. Let's get serious for a second, Senator. President Biden wants to cut off oil and gas leases.
That's it.
That would be a bad deal for your state. You rely, not heavily, but you rely to some degree on the revenue from.
All right, that's it. That's it. The Bitcoin conversation is over.
Bitcoin conversation. Oil going to $100 a barrel. What's next?
200. Do I hear 200? 200. 200. Wow. Yeah. So smash that like. Hey, what's up, Van Life Biker? My brother from another mother. There he is right there. Smashing the like. Yeah, thank you for reminding us. Listen, if you want to help the program, just go ahead and share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with your neighbors. Like, howdy, neighbor. You ever heard of On the Chain? And then run inside your house as fast as you can so they don't come after you. Yeah, it's a crazy world out there, Jeff.
You know who else is relatively smart sometimes?
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Come on, man, Berserker.
Come on, man. The Berserker. Come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah,
sold out for the sheeple.
There you go. Smart women. Right on. Right on. And I always like, here's what I like about the show now, Jeff. When we first started, it was like we get so angry looking through our demographics. We'd look through there and it'd be like 100% male audience. It was say women always zero. Now it's up.
Yeah, but
It's
they were
trending
wrong.
trending towards not. They're always wrong anyway, because you know why? Women don't disclose. They don't. It's too smart to put all that stuff out there, so they don't really care. You know what I mean? It's
The YouTube algorithms. Check this out.
look at that red, man.
That's the SHIB. Look at that, 3.6% in the last 24 hours. Down all
It's the only green on there.
on that 30%. 30%.
What is AMP?
I don't know. Leo. What is Leo? It's up 3.5%. Not a lot going on here. Look at that. We just went through this not that long ago, remember? And everything was red and bleeding and all that stuff. Look at Chills. Chill is 10.4%. It's interesting.
Well,
Crazy, man. There's so many names in here. So many projects.
Chilliz was that one where they that was another one that was added to Coinbase Pro. Chilliz, along with somebody had reached out to me not too long ago. I think it was about a day or two ago, and said, "Hey, where can I purchase XDC?" No, was it XDC? No, it was Doge. It was something. What would they just do? I think they Dogecoin. Yeah, at the Coinbase Pro, and then they halted it. They halted
Coinbase. No, sorry. You can get Doge on Coinbase. It's the SHIB.
The SHIB. It was Shiba Inu. They were saying, "Where do you get it?" I said, "Coinbase," and then they've already halted it.
Yeah, well, they halted right in the beginning. Supposed to come. I think they were having some issues. Who knows?
But it's like a week later, and they're still having issues, man.
That's true. They definitely have some issues. Man, look at this. Stellar at 23 cents.
There's so many great buys out there right now. And look at Matic. What's Matic showing on there? Because Matic was around I want to say 225, 230, something like that. You get to look at the chart.
It went high. It's at $1.06. Down 35%. Man, look at that. Oh, now it's $1.16. Just like that. I click a button and it goes up. That's how it's done. Yeah, look at that. That's crazy.
It certainly is. Look, it's a market. I mean, it's like there's a lot of buying signals right there. You can go ahead and make some cash potentially. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. You just got to be able to capitalize on it. That's all.
Here was the sell-off right there. We hit 245 May 18th. 245. You know, massive ramp up. You think about April, it's sitting at 36 cents. And then it goes 245. So you're up more than $2. And then right after that, it starts seeing the other side of the cliff. In May, so May and May, within 5 days, it goes down to 90 cents. All right. Then it climbs out of the hole. 90 cents. We're still sitting higher than it. You know, so you look at the bleed off from all-time highs, which is all they do. You know, the media, they're only focused on that all-time high. Then they're going to look at that bleed off. Then they're going to ignore it. They're going to look at this bleed off, this decrease. And then they're going to talk about this, and they're going to talk about this. But they're never going to talk about this. They're going to reference April. Why won't they ever reference April? You know, and it just seems, just continuous. Like, that's how it is. They never reference the lower point. They always reference just a high and where it's at right now, but never where it was. And where it is now, and in reference to where it was. So that's big. 36 cents, $1. It's still way up. Now, when it goes back to 36 cents, then we can talk again.
Yeah, this is something you brought up a little bit before, but this is a really good time to buy, right? So you have DCGs buying 50 million in shares of Grayscale. Well, I mean, it's kind of where it was not too long ago. And then, I mean, they have the opportunity to really pump this up in a big way. The digital currency group, obviously, that's Barry Silbert, who we got into a little back and forth with Peter Schiff recently, but the price of Ethereum Classic tripled to May, reaching an all-time high of a 177, fell about 70% into the low 50s, where it remains today, although it's returned 668,000. And we did the story the other day. XRP, 5 years, 14,000%. Yeah, that's sweet, right?
It's big. It's big news. Big news. Senior and sometimes junior said, trying to watch you guys live, but it's always in the middle of the night here, trying to catch your show as often as I can, all the way from Denmark.
Denmark in the house. Well, it's good. It's
Denmark.
you wake up for like, maybe a bathroom break, a little drink of water, and you're like, hey, let me check my
OTC
phone. Let me
break.
check the crypto market, and look at that. On the chain is going on. It's always cool. I'm always impressed, Jeff, how many people, really, a good part of our audience is overseas, and it's always late there. It's always like the 2 a.m. I know Sir John watches is like 3 a.m., something like that. It's incredible how
imagine.
late it is. Look at this XRP speedboat. Thank you for that. He goes, I wanted a new boat this summer, but all I could afford is a bag of cement for the paint can anchor. Well,
That works. Brand new
chin up.
anchor.
Chin up, XRP speedboat. There's a new
Brand new
speedboat in your
anchor.
future, man. You just gotta hang on. You just gotta huddle through it, man. The bag of cement for the paint can anchor. Womp, 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 womp.
Looks like Walter's going to bed. So good night, Walter. If there's anybody
night,
brand
Walter.
new here, brand new, and you've never been on the chain, then make sure you hit the bell notifier, hit that subscribe button. That's just the thing to do. Then you know exactly when we go live. Very cool. Very easy.
Yeah, and then we're live here basically 6 days a week. Sunday night through Thursday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. roughly. Sometimes Jeff and I are still prepping for the show, so we might start a minute or two off. And then Jeff does his thing at Saturday morning where he goes on these amazing long rants, which are fun to listen to. He doesn't take a breath, but he does take a sip of espresso, which is cool. Then we're back on Sunday night. Of course, we take Friday nights off because, well, it's Friday night,
Friday. Hey, while you're doing that, I'm trying to pull up this commentary here. There's an interesting, it says here, the SEC announces intention to file on Thursday, June 24th, a letter motion to quash a deposition subpoena served by Ripple on a former SEC official. Briefing scheduled below.
Whoa.
Then it says here, this means that Ripple wants to question under oath deposition a former SEC official. The SEC objects to the deposition. The parties cannot work out their differences, and they want NetBurn to decide if it will happen. We do not know who the former SEC official is yet.
I have a feeling I might know who it is, Jeff.
Former.
Take a guess. Who would you? It's probably either going to be Hinman or Clayton.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
Now, what if, Jeff? What if they wanted to pose somebody like Mary Jo White, who was a former chair? I mean, that seems weird. They'd have to disclose it to the court, and because she's actually on the team, on the defense team for Ripple, it could be something like that. But it is pretty exciting to see that it's out there.
It is.
Andrew Handelsman says, thank you for that support. He goes, the 8 a.m. tirade with Jeff. That's your new show right there.
The 8 a.m. tirade.
The tirade. Get the tirade going. Rev it up, man. That's the best part. Sometimes I'm like laughing so hard in a good way. It's like, yeah, and then Jeff's going. And then we have, thank you for that, David Maturu, for the super sticker and from the van down by the river. Appreciate that. It's always a good thing, man. Yeah, you should play the OG intro for Thursday. Which OG? Oh yeah, you're talking. I know which one. The that one. Is that the OG intro?
We should just pull the music while we're on and kind of dance to it. That'd be sweet. Everyone could be hanging out. Would do like real low volume in the background. We won't get a.
This is a nice find right towards the end. I like this, Jeff.
You like this? Just popped up.
Sweet. Look
at this.
Good looking
June 22nd. I know. Yeah. Plaintiff Securities and Exchange Commission respectfully requests the court's approval of a briefing, size, and schedule with defendant's consent for purposes of a discovery dispute on which the parties have reached an impasse. Man, it's always so interesting when you read these letters. They're so kind and polite and kind of wrapped around with little jabs here and there. It's just so friendly. I'd be like, what WTF? Blah.
Well, they're all written in the legalese and everything seems all good. And they're always way wordier than they need to be. But again, it's an official court document. that you basically have to, you know, put out there. It's kind of what happens. I mean,
And then check this out. On June 24th, the SEC would file the letter motion not to exceed 8 pages.
oh yeah, well
On, on July 1, defendants would oppose the SEC's motion in a letter brief not to exceed 8 pages. I love that. I love how they structure stuff. On July 8th, the SEC would file its reply in further support of the motion in a letter brief not to exceed 4 pages.
and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you exceeded 4 pages. You're wrong, you know. Man.
The SEC respectfully requests that the court approve the foregoing briefing size and schedule, which will permit the court to fully consider the factual basis and legal issues raised in the motion.
Look at that signature, Jeff. That's like that's pretty rough right there.
How do you even do that? Man, it's like square.
Well,
boom,
what I like
boom.
I like to put it in my
Boom.
mouth and go
That's like-
just
Yeah.
do a little bit like that, right? But I was like, you know, it
That's
looks like
brutal.
maybe one of those. It almost looks like an e-sign. It doesn't have the accompanying e-sign, but yeah, it's just like. But yeah, I mean, the thing about this is Tenero. Tenero, I think I don't think Tenero expected all this because you know he coasted through on the last one. But again, that was a clear ICO, clearly sold as an unregistered security, not even any up for debate really. And the $5 million, was it a $5 million fine? After all that, attorneys probably cost more than that. So you know, we're waiting to get through this whole thing. But what I like about this is I think they have two great judges: the magistrate judge. And the other judge, you know, you have what, Netburn, and what's the other one, Jeff? Help me out.
Which one?
The judges on there. Let me see who's the judge. Yeah, Judge Netburn is one of them. Then you have got the other judge. So you got the magistrate judge. There's two judges in this.
Exciting.
There's two judges in this. No,
Yeah,
they're both fantastic.
No, I know. I forget the name of the other judge.
The name escapes me. Don't worry. You can always count on the chat. Don't worry, Jeff. They will put us there. Well, hang on a second. Darcy's saying that. Hang on a second. Darcy's saying that Rob gave you a super chat. Let's find that.
I'm looking it up. I looked in the thing. It's not there. So I got to go to another source, and I'm going there, and we'll see. I've got Rob XRP.
Rob XRP.
Appreciate that support. I don't know how we missed
that.
it, but we appreciate your support. Glad. Good looking out, Darcy. That's awesome.
Thank you, Rob.
And Rob said, top-notch quality content as usual. Thanks, guys. Nice.
That's great
awesome. That's a really very cool.
Well, look, you know, we get through this together. We do it as the family, the On the Chain family, better known as the OTC family. We come here, we workshop it, we run around some ideas, we act a little crazy, poke each other in the eye sometimes. And
yeah, and there was another one here too from Gian. I didn't see that one.
Oh, Gian we put on earlier. That was
Did you put on? Oh, yeah, that was
one
there?
of the first ones. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, if we miss it, hey, good looking out, making sure we don't miss
XRP get to a 0? Yeah, gotta look at it. Check it out. Nice.
Yeah,
really
that,
appreciate
don't
that.
like missing stuff like that because you know we really appreciate the support. We you know it's all massive for us and you know heartfelt. We appreciate it. So look, man, I mean you know there's a lot of things you could do, and the fact you guys come and hang with us, the fact that you guys support us means the world. So that is always a good thing. And we're still making our way through the week. Expect the unexpected. This is crypto. A lot of things are changing. But I'm starting to see a little bit of a tide turning, Jeff. Everybody's talking about regulations, regulators, regulations. Yep. So before we were like, just you and I were talking about it. Everyone's like, shut up, Jeff.
Nobody else
talking about that.
We're the first ones. We even made the video. And we got the community together. And we sent the video out before anybody was talking about it. We'd come on, talk about Token Taxonomy Act, and everyone was like, what are these guys talking about? Token Taxonomy Act. And now look at this. And look at this thing.
And now it's blowing up in a beautiful way.
It's a swell. And on that note, tomorrow is another night because tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 p.m.
You got to think about that, Jeff. You're
Easter,
like, what?
I did have to think about that for a second.
You know what year it is?
Today?
Just quick, what year is it?
2022. No.
Wrong. Buzzer. 2022, 200022 on my brain. No, we're getting there. We're getting there close together. Guys, thank you very much for being here. Be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Thank you for all of the out-of-towners. which is everybody pretty much except for Ani and a couple people that live local. But thank you for coming in here. Thank you for staying up with us. And Jeff and I will see you on the next one. Have
Stay
a great
safe
night.
on your drive home.
Or when you roll over in bed. Either way.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.